There is no more sorry-ass state than when you walk in the day after the wedding with your garbage bag, because it's a big black bag. You walk in, and then they always look at you and they go, return or drop off? And I go, no, I just walked in here with this fucking bag, and I want to stand here sweating out vodka lemonade. There's no chance I'd rather be home in my bed.
Welcome to the opening bell of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. Trevor Sikkema, Connor Rogers here with you guys for another positional ranking episode of the Summer Scouting Series. Today, what a beautiful time for my camera to freeze. Love that. Love that to kick off the show. Today we are doing cornerbacks. We're doing the cornerback position to really wrap up, I think, a lot of the premium positions. We still have interior defensive line and tight ends. I don't know if we'll be able to get to those, and we'll tell you why. But we wanted to at least hit corner. The podcast is going away forever. No, I'm kidding. People always freak out every time we take a break, and they're like,
"We're never going to stop that
forever?"
joke. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you why. Because it doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. So that's it. Enjoy corners. All right, Trevor, 10-5.
Because we declared bankruptcy. So, no. We're doing corners today. We're taking a little bit of, I'm taking my honeymoon, just so you guys know. And we'll talk about that a little bit more throughout the show and at the end of the show. But we got to get to the football stuff. We're doing our top 10s today. It includes a lot of different things. Man coverage corners, zone corners, nickel corners. So a lot of different talking points here that we have on this show. Connor, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm really good. This is a fascinating group. As you and I were talking a little bit before we started recording, one of the more wide open groups. It feels like some of the guys at the top, there's not a huge drop off to some of the guys that we will start the show with today. So there's a lot of talent, or maybe just a lot of depth as we talk about corner, all shapes and sizes and alignments. I'm good though, Trevor. I'm coming back from I had about a 3.5 day vacation into a wedding.
Okay,
and I was in the wedding.
Okay.
I was actually the first, and I think it'll be the only time I was the best man.
Oh, hell yeah!
Yeah,
love that.
It was a blast. It was a blast. But that makes it like a whole weekend. It really turns into almost a 3-day kind of weekend, which is even better. And it was a decent drive, but something we don't talk enough about in society, I think, or question enough, is and I won't say the company, but it's the company that a lot of people use, and I'm sure it's pretty standard for a lot of places, although the place I used did not require this, that you have to return the rental tux the day after the wedding. We don't question how insane this is so entirely.
I've had to rent 2 tuxes before for weddings. One, you did have to do that, and the other one you didn't. So the other one, you got a little bit of grace period, like it was a week. It was like a week after, whatever, which should be the standard, right?
It's what I would normally expect until you actually start doing this. The place I used didn't require it the next day, and they actually gave, it was in New York City, and they gave everybody a box with a shipping label already.
Oh.
So it's like you had no excuse not to get everything back, no matter what part of the country you were, because, people flying all over the place. But, man, there is no more sorry-ass state than when you walk in the day after the wedding with your garbage bag, because it's a big black bag. You walk in, and I didn't sleep much. I drove very long back home. And nobody really ever comes up to you right away. They kind of let you marinate in the front, you're like, let's let you sit in the AC for a little bit.
Are you talking about it like a UPS or a FedEx, or like at the actual tux place?
The establishment where you measure and everything.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they always look at you and they go, return or drop off? And I go, no, I just walked in here with this fucking bag, and I want to stand here sweating out vodka lemonade. There's no chance I'd rather be home in my bed instead.
The point of why you're bringing this up, it is definitely not talked about enough. But here on this show, we go where people don't. We will have the conversations. It's time to vote for change.
48 hours. 48.
All I'm asking is for 48. 72 even. I'd vote for 72, but I'll settle for 48.
Right, and it's no one's fault in the establishment. They're just working for the man. So, they're very nice. It's a pretty quick process. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just the fact that you got to walk in looking or smelling or whatever it's like with that bag, and it's it's not your finest moment.
And you know what you know what sucks, because you think about capitalism, a little bit of okay, who's got the leverage in this certain situation, and it feels like
not you,
right? It feels like they got all the chips because they go, all right, fine, we're your own tux then. Oh, you don't have one? Guess you got to play by our rules.
But but that's not possible because you have to match everybody in the wedding party.
I mean.
So there's no, it's not like you can invest in a tux and be like, this is going to pay for itself over time. It doesn't work like that. And they go, oh, you need the extra day because you don't feel like coming in when you're tired or hungover or whatever it may be. $20 each day, sucker.
Big Tux has gone unchecked for too long. They really
I think this is a job for Dan Moore. This feels like a Dan Moore job.
This is a Dan Moore job.
I didn't say which one, but one of the Dan Moores is going to come in and solve this.
The more wealthy one. The more wealthy one, actually.
I know there's going to be an employee in the comments. I'm actually really, really looking forward to it. That either has a good story of when they collect the rentals or they know exactly what it's like. And that's the beauty of the Addicts. Like, there is truly all walks of life.
It's true.
That always can relate to these, and I really enjoy it.
It's very true. Speaking of the beauty of the Addicts, I just wanted to say this. You guys are so wonderful for saying all the kind words about Ryan on the last episode with him going off to the foreplay pod and doing his thing for Barstool now. Like, just all the comments of everybody just saying thank you for everything that he's done. We really appreciate you guys doing that because Ryan absolutely deserves it. Now, a handful of you already reached out to us and said, hey, you got an open producer position. Some of you are producers in your day job. Some of you do it part-time. Some of you do it on your own. And I had a couple of people reach out to us already kind of saying like, hey, if you guys are hiring, would love to put my name in the hat. So we are working with PFF to do that, and I think what they're going to do is PFF is going to post the job opening that you guys can apply through, and we'll be able to, and through somewhere on your application, obviously, like say that you are a listener of the show, because obviously if you are super interested in doing this, we would love to have somebody who already gets the show, already understands the show. It would be great to be able to hit the ground running with somebody who has been a long-time listener and somebody who just really enjoys the show. I think that would be great. So anybody out there who is interested in the producer position, if you guys have experience, I think they'll be posting the job opening, and I'd love for it to come from the Addicts. I really would. So we'll see what happens there. But I just wanted to let you guys know that we were opening all of that up. So I think that's all the housekeeping things. We went after Big Tux with Big Tuxedo.
We are on their ass right now.
The producer thing, and so let's just get to the corner. So we're gonna do our top 10s today. Connor, I watched 29 of these guys.
I'm growing concerned about you. I don't know if this is you banking before your honeymoon. Like, you get that feeling of like, I'm going to be doing a whole lot of not working for a couple weeks. I better start, not overcompensating, but really you're hoarding. You're like hibernation when squirrels pack their nuts down below. That's kind of what, and I respect it, but I watched 15.
Okay. No, that's
rookie numbers from over here.
It's apparently a respectable number. The reason why I watched a lot is because, like I've said, I'm trying to create like a bank of prospects to where when we drop the big board at the beginning of week 1, it's going to have enough prospects on there where you guys can do 7-round mock drafts on the PFF MDS. So corner is one of those positions where you naturally have to have a lot, because if you go look at the positions that are drafted the most throughout an NFL draft, defensive back is almost always number one. It's defensive backs or wide receivers. And defensive backs, you could have close to 40 of these guys that are drafted between safeties, nickel corners, and outside corners. So I wanted to watch a lot of these players. I'm thankful that I did, because funny enough, the 29th guy that I watched is top 12 for me. So I'm glad that I actually did that. And I swear to God, if you watched a guy that I didn't watch.
This is the real
And I
test.
watched 29
almost double
of these dudes.
Almost.
I'm going to become the Joker. But this will be fun. This will be a fun exercise. You mentioned how even it is sort of in the middle. I do early round grades on a lot of these guys. Now, it's massive subject to change with what's going to happen this upcoming season. But early round grades, from round 3 to round 5, so those 3 rounds, I have 18 corners They're like within that range of guys who, whether they're off zone corners, press man corners, nickel defenders, guys who play a lot of man, but they still play off man coverage. Like there's just a lot where it's sort of hard to parse these guys, and you go, yeah, I could see him playing in the league if he lands at the right spot. But also the reason why they're not a little bit higher is maybe there's a little bit more scheme specific, not as scheme versatile. So we'll talk about all of that as we break down all that good stuff. But we'll do the top 10s, and then hopefully that'll leave us a little bit of time to talk about some of those players that you maybe watched that didn't make that top 10 and get to have that conversation there because there's a lot to get to. So let's go. Let's start with you. Let's go 10 to 6. Read off the 10 to 6, and then we'll start to have the conversation with those guys.
Yeah, I'll give those 5 a shout out at the end of the show because it does feel wrong at not getting to talk too much about them today, but this is just a deeper group, like you said. So 10 for me is Keith Abney from Arizona State.
I am going to lose it.
That's unreal, the first one.
I'm going to lose it.
The first one.
Who is this? How is it?
This is the
where
time
are you getting
where
your list? Where are you getting your list?
This is the time where I wish I actually made up a name, but I didn't even have to.
Oh,
he's real.
He's real. That would have been an insane troll. I would have respected you so much.
He's
for that.
real. He's very real. Before we get into the full breakdown, I'll say why I'm so fascinated by him and why I watched him. As a kid growing up, he was a 4-time national champion roller skater.
That's
so.
Hold on. Wait. I got questions, and I don't even know if you can answer them.
I'm probably not.
Did you say state champion? Is that what you said?
No, national champion.
National champion.
Indoor roller skating. Speed skating.
So it's speed skating. It's not It's not like the WWE / roller. Have you seen that? Have you seen that the sport? Where they're like rollerblading in a circle.
It's road rash,
whatever
basically.
it is, and it's basically just like WWE on rollerblades.
It's not that, and it's not a routine. It's just straight up speed skating. Like picture when at the NHL when they used to do the NHL All Star fastest skater competition like that. It's kind of like that. I gotta check it again, but I'm pretty sure when they've asked him about it. He went all into football, I think, after the pandemic. You know how we're getting old right now, or something like that. Basically, he got away from it as he got older. Loved football. He's obviously playing corner at Arizona State, so things worked out pretty well for him.
All right,
but
what's this dude's name?
Keith Abney, Abney. He is a junior at Arizona State. He is 5'11", 195 pounds, and he is my 10th ranked corner for today.
Yeah, I bet he is. Go to number 9. Go on to number 9. Tell me about another prospect that I didn't watch.
You're going to have the rest of them. Number 9 is Chandler Rivers from Duke.
Okay, love it. Love
right,
Chandler Rivers getting there. Yep.
Yeah,
we're back.
Chandler Rivers was actually the 15th guy I watched, and he made it to number 9.
In fact, Chandler Rivers is number 9 for me. So
amazing. You love when a plan comes together.
We're so back. We're back.
8, Christian Gray from Notre Dame.
Didn't watch him.
This I just don't understand.
Where do you? What list are you? How are you doing this,
dude? I'm
looking at the consensus board. I'm looking at Draft Buzz. I'm looking at PFF. I'm looking at Blesto. I'm looking at all of these things, and you're getting these kids who. That's a fake name, isn't it? Are you trolling me?
No, it's not. He's real. He's very real. Oh man, I'm telling you, I'm on the black market.
You are.
I'm DMing with people. It's real ugly out here.
It's real ugly out here. Hey, I'm trying to piss Trevor off. You got any sleeper corners? I'm like, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, you work at this program. Give me a guy I need to watch. You do not tell Trevor about this guy. If he asks you, lie. I will pay you. I will send you gear. Whatever you need.
I got a Notre Dame source, and I didn't even get this guy on the list.
This is brutal right now.
It's on me.
Yeah, my phone lights up on the nightstand at night, and Kirsten's like, "Who is DMing you at 11:45?" I'm like, it's just my scouting watch list.
It's the cornerback black market.
Yeah, it's the black market. We only text after 11 p.m. and no text after 6 a.m.
It's WhatsApp too, just so it's tougher to trace.
Real sketchy
international numbers.
Real sketchy.
All right, what's this person's name?
Christian Gray.
Okay,
Gray.
All right. Notre Dame. Got it.
Number 7, Dalen Everett on Georgia.
I did watch him. Dalen Everett. Yep.
And then number 6, I know you watched, is Malik Muhammad on Texas.
This is funny. I have Chandler Rivers at 9. I have Dalen Everett at 7, and I have Malik Muhammad at 6.
That is mind-blowing, considering not only that you watched 29 players and I watched 15, but also just how you could throw this corner class in a blender and come out with any rankings, and you wouldn't find any of it insane. Like, there's going to be people that have, I don't know, Keith Abney in the top 3 or Dalen Everett in the top 3.
Right.
And nobody would be like, wow, like, what is wrong with you? That's pretty shocking. This is going to be a fun conversation then.
It is, and I will say this. There's a lot of guys in the middle of this cornerback class who, like I said, the margins are very thin. But I will say, I think that top 8 guys are the top 8 guys. So I'd be surprised if we have a lot of different names outside of the ones I didn't watch, of course. But
you're going to have some that
to
I
me,
didn't
it does
have for
make
sure.
it does make sense thinking about you having these guys where you do, because there's one other name that I think I'm going to be a little bit higher on than you are. That's in my top 5. But outside of that, a lot of the rest of the class, there's a ton of names in the middle, but I do think the names at the top are kind of very clearly the names at the top, in my opinion. So, all right, you got your 10 guys there. Mine are, I got Teario Davis at 10. I have from Arizona. I have Chandler Rivers from Duke at 9. I have DAngelo Amos, who is an outside corner at Indiana. I think he's more of a nickel in the NFL. But I have him at number 8. I have Dalen Everett from Georgia at number 7. I have Malik Muhammad from Texas at number 6. So let's start with the 2 guys who I didn't watch. Let's get into both Christian Gray and Keith Abney, and I'll obviously give you the floor here since I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, so Abney, true sophomore last year, so this is still a young player. He had 3 picks, broke up 9 passes. Like I said, this is a 4-time national champion as a competitive speed roller skater growing up, which is such a fascinating background for a cornerback specifically, because you think of the required athleticism in terms of movement skills at this position. His transitions are smooth. There is very little delay when he flips his hips. His fluidity and explosiveness, specifically from that lower half, notably that ankle flexion from his skating background, allows him to mirror route movements better than a lot of guys. It's just his ability to stick his foot in the ground and change direction and the short area agility and everything that comes with that. He's somebody that, once again, he could just match movements in a very, very unique way. He congests routes and the catch point. It's interesting because I don't think it looks pretty a lot of the times. There's times where it's a little unorthodox. He might not have had a good read on the throw.
His footwork's not great, and he's out of control.
He's not set up the right way, and he just finds a way because he's so good at staying in the hip pocket that he's there, that naturally he's going to be able to make more plays than other guys that allow more space, even if he's not in the perfect positioning to catch the ball or swat the ball. Eye discipline and awareness in zone coverage, that's what leads to the takeaways. I mean, you grab 3 picks and break up 9 passes as a true sophomore, and you're playing the level of competition that Arizona State was playing last year in big games. I mean, it speaks to the ball skills, but a lot of it is in zone coverage and what's in front of him and his ability to pounce and make a play. And here's what jumped out to me, Trevor, and this is really why I noticed him. He played some of his best football in the college football playoff against Texas.
Love that.
That's the game to start with right there. The lights are bright. In that scenario.
He's from Texas too. I'm just looking up his background right now. He's from Texas, and this is one of those little things that I think you sort of mark on a scouting report. If a guy is transferring from a school and their new school where he is a starter, they play his old school, I almost always pick that as one of the first 2 or 3 games to watch of this player, because it goes into
tell you how you're built.
A college football playoff game, a rivalry game, obviously a national championship game, a conference championship game, where the emotions, and there's just more on the line. For him, for whoever it is, there's more on the line just from pride of the players that you're used to, knowing that you're coming from that school and everything. So obviously he didn't play at Texas, but I think going home, I wonder if there might have been a little bit of a Texas tie in there. Did he want to play for the Longhorns? Did he not get to play for the Longhorns, and now he gets to face off against him? I love that. I love hearing about that from him.
Yeah, so just the natural skills that he has gives you a big reason to believe in him. Some of the things I want to watch him work on this year, and this is a really young player that's a little raw in certain areas of the position. There's some hard bites on double moves that led to some big plays over the top where he's just a little over anxious or a little too excited to try to make a play on the ball underneath, and he bites a little too hard and allows guys to get over the top of him. I think going back to when things look a little ugly, even though he's able to stop a play from happening against him, he gets caught in the hand fight a little too long. He's a highly competitive guy. He stays in the hip pocket. There's that constant hand fighting, that quiet hand fighting that the refs aren't going to throw a flag on. And then it's like, man, you got to learn the route combination and the depth that the team is trying to throw, that it's time to turn around and play the football. Don't get too caught up, because the wide receiver can hand fight with you and still see the trajectory of not only the football, but the quarterback's footwork, where he is and when the ball is coming. But when your back is turned and you're hand fighting, you don't get the luxury that the wide receiver gets. Not to forget, too, that the ref is looking to throw the flag on you, not the offensive player. And that's one of the hardest things to learn in this game for a young cornerback. So I don't kill guys for it, especially guys coming off a true sophomore season. But this dude, he's got such good movement skills that if he starts to understand when the ball is coming his way, those 3 interceptions and 9 passes broken up are going to turn into 5 interceptions and 12 passes broken up, and you're going to be looking at a guy that has shutdown skills.
It is already impressive that you're talking as highly as you are about him, and he is still sort of lacking that anticipation, right? There's a handful of guys that I've watched too. I think we'll get to a couple of them. Honestly, Malik Muhammad is one of them, where it's like, okay, you've got all the talent in the world. You're not anticipating things well enough. And there's a couple of guys that we'll talk about later in this show that it's sort of the same conversation. You've got that mirror ability. You have that athletic ability. You've got that strength to you. You can hand fight, but you still just can't give up that quick separation, because in the NFL, it's a lot easier to recover. And this is the thing with some of the players that I would say, like, a lot of them aren't in my top 10, because it's, if you struggle with recovery speed in the college level, it's going to get so much more difficult in the NFL. So much more difficult, where you can sometimes see guys who maybe don't anticipate a route release really well, and okay, they'll lose right off the snap, but then they're athletic enough to make up for it, and they'll be able to catch up to that player. A lot of times when that happens at the NFL level, you don't really get the chance to make up for it. You might be able to stay even with them, so you could stay maybe a step or two behind, but that's still a step or two behind. So that anticipation part of your game is really important. So it's good to know about Abney. I'll definitely have to watch him. And then Gray. Talk to me about Gray, who's a little bit higher in the rankings.
Yeah, and the combo's not that different with Gray, ironically. Gray, who I have at corner number 8, Abney I had at 10. Mm-hmm. With Gray, it's a little bit of the same. He's listed 6 feet tall, 189 pounds, so you're not talking about a massive size difference here. I think it looks... I don't have official arm length for Gray. I do have arm length for a lot of these guys. He's one of the guys I don't. It was hard to get that on the black market.
Can't get everything, you know?
Yeah, the dark web or whatever it may be.
You got to pay in Bitcoin to get those, and you ran out. You just didn't have enough. You got to wait for payday next Friday.
I used all of it on deep watch list and didn't get the arm length for Christian Gray. He's a guy that plays with length, though. This is someone that as a sophomore, he was a full season starter in 2024, and a former 4-star recruit out of St. Louis, ran the 100 and 200 in high school. It's just the fiery nature he plays with on film that jumped out to me. Competitive, fiery player. I mean, think of Trevor, this team last year, the kind of run they had, and how early they lost Benjamin Morrison. Somebody in that, if you're going to make that kind of run, people in the secondary need to step up. And this, to me, was somebody that I thought really, really stepped up. He had 3 picks, broke up 9 passes. He's somebody that understands how to play the ball. I think, much like Abney, he is still learning route anticipation. He is still learning hand timing. And something that he struggled with at times was those underneath route combinations, especially in the college level, where they are trying to get some kind of rub route or some kind of traffic in front of you. Mm-hmm. And you got to decide, one, if you don't diagnose it fast enough, am I going to go underneath or am I going to go over the top? If I go over the top, well, he's going to be able to catch the ball because I'm not going to get there in time, but I have an angle to limit the play. If I go underneath, it's a little bit of a bigger gamble. And if this guy gets over the top of me, he's gone. I'm not going to be able to tackle him. So, it's kind of like, seeing the cheese and trying to run underneath it. those are some things that he's got to work on as well. But Gray is another guy in this mold where the type of athlete and the size he plays with and the style he plays with, and a true sophomore, just like Abney, if you kind of season a little bit and start to understand things in front of you and then use your athleticism to capitalize on them, this is another guy that I think could be a really big riser this year.
Okay, so I have Teario Davis from Arizona, who's now at Washington. I have him at 10. Do you have him on your list, or did he just miss it?
I didn't rewatch Teario. I know
okay.
we talked about him in depth on last year's summer scouting.
We did, yes.
And I know he had a little bit of a down year because I watched him during the season a lot.
Yes.
I didn't rewatch him for this. I'm kind of just going to go in with the clean slate at Washington and see what happens.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of a strategy thing for this. I am very curious of what he can do at Washington after what I thought was a down year, because I was very high on him last summer.
Yes.
So I'm curious what you saw.
No, I can understand wanting to have that sort of situation with watching him, because I remember watching him in last year's summer scouting, and if I remember correctly, like, I definitely saw the potential there for him, but I was like, I'm always a little wary on just taller corners, because length and size is what you covet at the position, but there are so few players that, think about it this way, like, think about it physically. As a corner, you want guys who are bigger, right? You want guys who have the size, but more importantly, the arm length to be able to match up with, press, hand fight throughout the route, and create disruption at the catch point against receivers in the NFL who are 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", sometimes even bigger. And the bigger corner that you have to go up against that, you feel better about it. But you want bigger corners when it comes to weight, because if you are a better athlete at a higher weight, that is more alluring, because there's just it's more rare that you have players who are great athletes while weighing a lot more. So all of that is like bonus when you are a bigger player. And Teario Davis is listed at 6'3", 195 pounds. So 195 pounds, it's not like he's huge. He's still sort of slender for that 6'3" build, but 195 is still 61st percentile for the cornerback position specifically.
He looks big on tape too.
He does.
Like, he doesn't look like your everyday corner.
He does. Now, on the flip side of that, though, when you are a bigger corner, you have more body to move. And specifically, you focus on the hips with bigger corners, because you'll watch some smaller guys and they will be able to, whether it's from a press alignment or an off coverage alignment, they will be able to flip their hips and put their foot in the ground and run very quickly, simply because they're not moving as much body. They're not moving as much lower body length, and their frame is a little bit smaller. It's more compact, so they have more body control, they have more core strength, and it just takes less muscle to be able to do those things. When you are a high-waisted corner, especially, which a lot of these bigger, taller guys are, it's hard to fully turn your whole hips, get around, and really start to get into your longer strides. All of that to say, Teario Davis is a very good combination of being big, tall, and yet can flip those hips. Now, is it slower than it is for guys who are 5'10", 5'9"? Yes, obviously. But you have to take that with the understanding of what their measurables tell you. And for his measurables, Teario Davis, I think, can really move. I think he's really in control out of his back pedals. There's not a lot of panic there. I think he's got adequate top speed with his long strides for the NFL level. He played wide receiver in high school, so he's got that wide receiver background, and he brings that to playing cornerback. He almost had a 30% forced incompletion percentage last year. Not in 2024, 2023, that best year from him, which was phenomenal. Now, the drawback is, last year, his coverage grade took a massive dip. His production on the ball took a massive dip. He didn't record a single interception, I don't believe. And his forced incompletion percentage went all the way down to 9%, like it was single digits. And I think, unfortunately, and a reason why I don't hate your strategy of just clean slate here, I think the vibes at Arizona were bad last year. Like, I think a lot of players just started to check out pretty quickly, and Teario Davis was one of those dudes who I just don't know if he was really playing with a passion that we saw in 2023. And that's why I think you saw much worse grades from him, less proficiency, less efficiency, less production on the ball, all that kinds of stuff. So it really is now that he's at Washington, perhaps it will be this renewed sense of competitiveness, because I thought in 2023, I thought he was a hell of a competitor. Like,
Me too.
Even with his slender build. Okay, yeah, like the run defense wasn't always the best because he was a little bit slender in his size, but I mean, he'd give you the competitiveness that you would want to see. He'd take pride in run defense. So all of that was still there for him in 2023. It wasn't really there for him in 2024. And it was more so, here we have a bigger, taller athlete who does move decently well for his size, who has shown competitiveness in the run game, that I'm just hoping gets back to that form and plays with that pride that we now see with him being at Arizona. So that's why he is at number 10 for me.
I think it's a really good call, and it's going to be interesting to see what did he learn from that kind of year, right? And we've had that conversation with plenty of guys from that Arizona program and of it as a whole. I mean, coming out of that season, we had some questions about Savanaia maybe not taking the jump we hoped for, but then I think he had a really good all-star process. Fafita obviously had some ups and downs. Even it all worked out in the end, but even Teterow and McMillan went through the fire during the draft process. Right. The fire.
Right.
And it all worked out. So I think it's a really good call out, and I'm kind of excited to see what he could do because I was really excited when I watched the 2023 tape.
So the next guy, did you watch DAngelo Amos from Indiana?
I did not.
Okay.
But I've seen a lot of this defense, so I've seen enough of him, but I did not rank him. I know he's fascinating because he's springy and small, and I wonder if he's going to be a guy that has a different projection for the NFL.
First of all,
because of his size.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I am such a Curt Cignetti believer, man.
It's awesome watching how he has those guys play.
For him, because a bunch of these guys were JMU guys. It is almost like he brought his entire roster over from JMU to Indiana, and they made the college football playoff with those guys. And we talked about a bunch of them being NFL draft guys last year. Now we're talking about more of them being NFL draft guys this year.
Yeah, Mikhail Kamara we talked about.
He scouted these guys and got them to come to JMU before he was at Indiana. I'm such a Curt Cignetti believer. I am so bullish on that program as long as he is the head coach. And DAngelo Amos to me is another example of that. So he is a junior this year. He was a true sophomore last year. Now he's listed at just 5'9", 170 pounds. So that's 6th percentile and 1st percentile for the cornerback position. I have him categorized as a nickel defender, but he plays outside for them.
Right.
He plays outside cornerback for them, and he's able to do that because he plays it very, very well. He's very reminiscent of Jack Jones in that regard, where Jack Jones was like, man, size-wise, you were basically only a nickel corner, and yet he was even able to play and have an impact as an outside corner at the NFL level when he was at New England, when he was at the Raiders. And so he reminds me a little bit of Jack Jones in that regard. He was a 3-star corner from Hollywood, Florida. Ran track in high school. And when I say ran track, I think that's selling him short. He won the state title in the 100-meter and 200-meter, as well as the 4x400 relay. So this dude has a trophy case full of track accomplishments. He had a personal best of a 10.47 100-meter dash, which is flying, especially for a guy who is only 5'9" and has some shorter strides to him. Just tells you how athletic this guy is. He was a true starter in his lone year that he was at JMU as a true freshman. He started 10 of their 13 games, and then he started 12 of their 13 games last year after transferring over from Indiana. He has top-tier quickness and speed. I mean, this is somebody who, when you have smaller corners, right? I just talked about the advantages of being a bigger corner. When you have a corner who is smaller, you have to see elite quickness and elite explosiveness. DAngelo Amos has it. Like, he has those two things to be able to check those boxes to be able to play at the NFL level. Consistent ball production from him. He's got 4 total interceptions and a forced incompletion percentage of over 13% in both 2013 and 2014. Connor, you remember I said this guy's 170 pounds?
Yeah.
He has a single-digit missed tackle percentage in his career over the last 2 years. 2-year sample size.
What's the theme about
digits.
all of the Cignetti guys? They all punch above their weight.
They play their
figuratively
ass off, man.
and literally.
Yes.
All of them.
Yes.
It's like you're not supposed to be that good or be able to supposed to do that, and you do it. All of them. Every single one.
He is one of the few corners that I watched, regardless of size, who has a single-digit missed tackle percentage over a 2-year sample size. And
that's crazy.
And he's doing it at 5'9", 170. And that's why they won't take this guy off the field, and that's why he was an immediate starter for them. So, the size, he's an outlier in his size. The shorter arms sort of impact his ability at the catch point, which is why, again, I'd kind of rather have him be in the slot because you can go up against some of those smaller wide receivers. I just think that the way that he plays the game, he is so feisty, and he is so smart, he is so explosive. All of that is fantastic right now at the college level. Really, the only question is, how much might it start to struggle for him when he gets to the NFL? Because, again, like for a guy like Jack Jones, he had moments where it didn't matter. Like he was basically similar size when he went to the NFL, and he's had at least 1 year where he was phenomenal. He might have had a couple in there. So you can do it. It can happen. You're an outlier. It's hard to bet on outliers consistently. But man, DAngelo Pons, there's so much good that he brings, and his tape is so much fun that whether it's as an outside corner or as a nickel defender, he's an NFL player, man. I think he's an NFL player.
I'm excited to watch and rank him. Just those guys that punch above their weight, and they got the play speed to make up for some of the other physical attributes they don't have. It's fun to bet on those guys.
It is. And
it's fun to watch that defense, I'll tell you that right now.
Yes. Yeah, again, I'll watch every Indiana game as long as Curt Cignetti is the head coach there, because I know we're getting some dogs everywhere on the field. Okay, we got Chandler Rivers. We both had him at 9. Dalen Everett, both had him at 7. And then Malik Muhammad, we both had him at 6. Let's start with Chandler Rivers, and then we'll just work our way down, and then we'll be able to get into the top 5. So talk to me about Chandler Rivers, who you, as a ball knower, have him at number 9.
Chandler Rivers, man, all right, so let's get it out of the way of why you're not going to see a lot of hype for him, or why all these, we're about to say so many great things about him, and yet he's still number 9 here. Trevor, I have him at 5'8" and 5/8", 184 with sub 30-inch arms.
Whoa, he is 5'8"?
5 and 5/8. Maybe you could stretch and get to 5'9".
Wow, because they got him listed at 5'10", 185.
Yes, they do. I have a sheet with them that has 5'8" and 5/8", and 184, 29.5-inch arms. Okay, so he's a smaller corner. Significantly smaller. This dude is just a hell of a football player.
Yeah.
All around. In everything he does, watching him play. He's got ball skills. He's sticky in coverage. He's hyper aware. He gets his head around to make plays. He wants to play the football in the air. I mean, he's coming off a season where he had 3 picks, broke up 8 passes, returned 1 for a touchdown, forced 2 fumbles. I like the way he plays away from coverage. Just trying to be stout against the run, trying to make plays, gang tackling, a fiery energy guy, a smart guy. You can move him around a little bit. And then where I almost look at him like, can he play some form of not only nickel, but can he do some safety things at the next level as well with how aware he is and his ability in zone? And this is a dude that's played a lot of football now. I mean, the previous year he had a pick. He broke up 7 passes. He brought 1 back to the house. You turn on the tape, though, with Chandler Rivers, man, and specifically there was a stretch for him last year, SMU and Miami back-to-back. It was week 9 and week 10. And it just felt like he was a gnat around the football every time they went after him. I have the numbers up now, just the Miami game alone. They threw at him 6 times. He allowed 1 completion for 8 yards. And it just felt like he was a gnat around the football and a new This is somebody that I've never met him, never talked to him, don't know anyone at the Duke program right now. I would guarantee this dude just lives in the facility when he can, watching film and all the things we talked about at the top. Got to get better at understanding route anticipation. Got to get a better understanding of what the offense is trying to do with rub routes and hand timing. He checks all those boxes already as a college player. He's just a smaller corner that teams are going to have some cold feet about that. But it's interesting because this guy just got paid and played a similar role for Duke defense once upon a time, and now just got paid by the New York Jets. Michael Carter was once upon a time this safety corner hybrid at Duke, was a incredibly smart player. He is very, very small for an NFL defensive back. He fell till day 3 on the draft. He's been the Jets' starting nickel and got a massive contract that he earned because he's played his ass off, and he's the smartest guy on the defense every single time he lines up on Sundays out there. It might seem like a chalky comparison with Rivers coming from the same program, but I saw a lot of those similarities.
The word for me that I kept coming back to when watching him is just in control. Like, there's just not a lot of things that ever really fooled him. And
no,
look, he's limited in his size. He's limited in his length. And I don't even think he has the best twitch in the world, right? And we're talking about a guy who's like 5'9", it may be, and 185 pounds. Like, that's still a smaller corner. If he's 5'9", even, that's 6th percentile, and 185 or just short of 185 is like 18th percentile. So he's a smaller corner. And I just mentioned, if you're going to be a smaller corner, you got to kind of be quick and explosive. I think that he is athletic enough, but I don't think he's like super twitchy for being 5'9". And yet, I don't really see him get beat a lot because he always knows where the ball is going. He always knows about against the pass, against the run. Did you mention his like diverse high school athletic background or no?
No.
So this is just one of those guys that is just a natural athlete at everything that he does. Okay, he played both wide receiver and defensive back for the varsity high school football team. Obviously, he also played basketball as a junior and a senior and won a state championship in basketball. And he was also a runner-up in track in the long jump and also had a near sub-11 100-meter dash. So, like, the guy was just a phenomenal athlete all around at the high school level. And I think that he brings that natural athleticism into how he plays the cornerback position. They have him play as an outside cornerback. He plays a lot of man coverage stuff. I categorized him as a man coverage defender, but I say in my write-up for him, my early write-up is like, I think he could play left corner, right corner, or in the slot. Like, I think he can do all of those things, and he's just a player that you want in your secondary. I think that he is better than this player. But, like, again, like a Christian Izzian from Tampa, where he went totally under the radar. He went undrafted. He's this, like, nickel/safety type of player that just ended up being a dog because he anticipated everything so well, and he played his ass off every single snap, and he's able to stick around the Buccaneers and be a versatile depth defensive player. I think Rivers is better than that. Like, I think Rivers is much closer to a mid-round, maybe late day 2 type of draft selection, but it's sort of that conversation of one of those guys that could just do a lot of different things for you in your secondary, despite maybe not being the biggest player in the world. So Rivers, the very first sentence that I have for his scouting report that I wrote for this summer scouting is, Rivers is an easy watch. And it is. You just enjoy watching him play the game and play that position.
Yeah, it's the perfect way to write it up. He was the last guy I watched, so I watched a lot of tape. You know, guys panicking or being in a bad spot and penalties or bad technique. Watching him as the last guy, I was waiting for the shoe to drop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you saying he's in control is the perfect summary, because that's what it felt like across multiple games where I was like, and this dude, he's got the play experience to match it up, and I'm really looking forward to see what he could do in his final season, because he'll probably be overlooked because of his size and everything along the lines of that, but
not in this house. Not in
this house is right. The polish is real.
Dalen Everett from Georgia.
Yeah, kick off Dalen Everett since I kicked off Rivers.
Okay, so Dalen Everett, starting outside cornerback at Georgia, 6'1", 190 pounds is what he is listed at. He is a senior going into this season. I remember I actually watched him, and I can't remember if I got a full scouting report on him before he said that he was going back to Georgia, but he was draft eligible last year, and as they were getting towards the SEC championship, the college football playoff, he really started popping a little bit, and I was like, oh, okay, they got another guy that I got to watch in their secondary. So he's got legit size to him at 6'1", 190 pounds. Do you have official measurables for him? Is that far off?
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. No, 6 feet 5/8 inch and 5/8 of an inch. So he's about 6'1", 193.
Yep.
Arm length 31 and 5/8. Long arms.
Yeah, okay.
Long enough arms.
Yes, that's good. Arm length is adequate, and he sort of looks the part when he's
you see it
when
in
he's
pads.
on the field. He was a former 5-star recruit, went to IMG Academy. He's from Norfolk, Virginia, before he transferred down to IMG Academy. He was a unanimous top 50 recruit in that 2022 recruiting class. Played mainly on special teams his first year, started all 14 games in 2023, and started all 14 games again last season. I like you mentioned with the long arms. Body type is exactly what you would want it to be for an NFL corner. It's the perfect blend of he's tall enough, he's long enough, but he's also got that athleticism to him as well. The hips flip pretty quickly. He can play in man coverage very comfortably and confidently. The footwork is very quick off the line of scrimmage to mirror a lot of different releases that wide receivers might have. Even if they're trying to like give him a little hesitation or fake him out, he can normally mirror them pretty well with good footwork there. He's got the frame to be physical throughout the route, throughout the and throughout the catch process as well, so he could disrupt that, especially with those longer arms there. When it comes to, I should say, the acceleration and the body control, I think are very good. I think he could be useful as a blitzer because of that, because he's able to sort of get across the face of some offensive linemen as well. So he just brings you a lot of the baseline of what you would want for an outside press man coverage corner. That's the type of player that we're talking about here. Anybody that, now obviously no NFL team just lines guys up in press man coverage all the time. You got to be able to do a handful of things, but
they should.
There's not correct. Yeah. If it were
real football,
if it was a real game,
yeah,
real coaching staff.
Now you breathe on a wide receiver and it's a flag.
We're gonna play cat coverage every single play. You guard that guy. Make sure he doesn't catch the football.
Dude, you watch like highlights from 2001. And these corners just have both their hands on the throat of receivers. It's awesome, and it's awesome.
Just turns into a oh man. I was gonna say a Dudley Boy highlight, but we brought up the Dudley Boys before. What's another one?
Well, when Andre Johnson gave Cortland Finnegan the business,
it's basically that. Yeah.
My goodness,
it just fits. It just fist fights.
He threw him around like it was his little brother.
The top speed, I feel like, is adequate for him. It's not great. But
it's not great.
But I think it's adequate. I think it's adequate for him. I think sometimes, even though he's got the footwork to be able to mirror, sometimes he lacks the anticipation. This is one of those guys that I brought that up with. He was not as interested and as prideful in run defense as I would have liked for him to be. The missed tackle percentage was a little bit higher. Too many missed tackles in 2024. So I thought that was a bit of an issue for him. You could tell he's more comfortable in man coverage. He's more comfortable getting the call and just saying, hey, don't let that guy catch the football, because even when he plays, like bail technique in a cover 3, I noticed that more savvy wide receivers were really getting into his blind spots more easier than they should. Like, he wasn't squeezing to the sideline as much as he should have. He wasn't, his eyes weren't exactly where they needed to be. And there were a couple of times where I watched him in cover 3 where he's shifting out of press, and maybe it's before the snap, maybe it's at the snap, and he's starting to shuffle, and he's leaving way too much space for them to get behind him, get into his blind spot. And then there were times where these receivers would totally get into his blind spot, and then when they got to where his back is, he'd take off because he doesn't want to get beat vertically, and then he'd look to his left or his right, whichever side the sideline was on, and the receiver had hit a comeback route. And now all of a sudden there's 4 or 5 yards of separation. So sometimes it yielded a catch, sometimes it didn't. But he's got to play with a little bit more anticipation there. And just overall, I just felt like he was a very fiery, competitive player when he was in press man coverage. And then when he wasn't, whether it was through run defense or even like off zone coverage assignments, he just wasn't quite the same player. So we've got to get that same competitive player all the time, and I think you've got a guy who really is built for the NFL level.
It's a good call out. It is. Consistency was my biggest problem with him.
Yeah.
I mean, he gave up 15 plays of 15-plus yards, and that might go back to the speed being average-ish. And like you said, the run defense, you just look at him on the field, and you watch how he plays receivers at the catch point, and you go, oh, this guy is physical and nasty. But it didn't always carry over to the run game. And I think you turn on the Texas tape specifically, he wants to hurt you when he's playing through the hands. And you could see the receivers be extremely disrupted when he arrives and fights through the catch point. So they move him around. You brought up the special teams experience, going all the way back to 2022 before he became a starter the last 2 years. They play him at outside corner, a little in the slot, in the box. Obviously, still special teams as well. So, yeah, there's a good outlook for Dalen Everett because of all the different things he could do in coverage, specifically at his size.
Yeah, I agree. There's just it's hard to think, like, even with this tape exactly the same. Like, if he was declared last year, third round at worst, I think, just because of how
Right.
he is built, and it's just a matter of how much higher can he go up on that draft board, in my opinion. Malik Muhammad. Malik Muhammad is sixth for both of us before we dig into our top 5 corners here. So, I've seen some lists that have Malik Muhammad as a top 3 cornerback. Some even have him as the number 1 cornerback going into the season, but you and I actually seem to think of him very similarly here, just outside of the top 5. So, I started out with Dalen Everett. You talked to me about Malik Muhammad.
The good news is about, some of his issues is that some of it can be worked out of him with development, because he started last year every game as a true sophomore. This is a former top 100 recruit, about 6 feet tall, 188 pounds. Not officially verified height and weight, but I wouldn't be shocked if that's right where he's around. He does not look small on the field at all. I wrote down adequate height and length at outside corner. You could see the short area quickness and the agility against those short and intermediate routes. He uses that reach to play physical at the catch point. My biggest shortcomings with him, Trevor, is really they're kind of connected together. Is one, how are things going to be when he's the man in this defense, right?
No
Because
Jahdae Barron.
No Jahdae Barron. And don't forget, Andrew Makuba was a really, really nice Band-Aid on the back end of that defense.
Sure.
Not only was he incredibly intelligent pre-snap for everybody, he was somebody that knew how to help everybody out as well. So, and that ties into Malik Muhammad's shortcomings right now, where I like the athlete, I like the size, and I like how he competes at the catch point. There are a lot of times in isolated coverage or single coverage where I know he is not slow, but guys get vertical on him because he struggles to anticipate when they are hitting the gas
100%.
and when it's time to open up and run.
100%.
And that carries over to the pre-snap route aware. Like his pre-snap and route awareness is just a total work in progress, where he did not know what the offense was trying to do most of the time. He's just so gifted and talented and had a supporting cast that can help out a lot too, that he was able to be a totally fine starter last year as a true sophomore. So this is going to be a big jump for him this year.
Yeah, look, I think that in his current state, to me, he's closer to a second-round pick type of a corner than he is somebody that you would be drafting in the first round. But like you mentioned, I'm glad that you started the conversation like this. What is needed of him to become that first-round corner is all fixable, and I think that it's all there for him, because you mentioned the athleticism. I totally agree with you. There were times where, I remember writing down, it's like, I think that his recovery speed and top speed is adequate, and yet there were way more plays than I thought. Not that there were like hundreds or anything, but there were more plays than I thought for where he's getting beat vertically. And Connor, this is a guy who, he's got a track background. He was a 4x100 relay, 4x200 relay, and a 4x400 relay guy. And he was sometimes the anchor for those 4x.
He's not slow at all.
Whatever team. Right. I mean, like, he is a fast player, but there were way more plays where separation was yielded vertically than I thought was going to be the case. And you hit the nail on the head. He lacks a little bit of anticipation right now. And this upcoming year is going to be a big year for him when it comes to anticipation. It felt like he was getting antsy, that he was trying to, maybe trying to like jump routes, something. Now, I will say, I thought what was his weight? 188 is what he was listed at? I think it's what he is listed at now.
Yeah.
I don't know what he played at last year, but I thought he played at a noticeably small weight, where he got pushed around a little bit. Even though he had the long arms, he put the arms in the chest of a wide receiver, wouldn't really do anything. They wouldn't really knock him back. They weren't really pushed off their route much. So I wonder if some of that lack of anticipation maybe comes from him being a little bit over aggressive to try to get a little bit more of his body into it, play with a little bit more power. I'm not sure. But there were more instances of that than I thought there were going to be, because the positives, man, you mentioned the arm length that he plays with, you mentioned the athleticism as a baseline for him, but very high forced incompletion percentage. Now this is another sign of not anticipating things as well as he could. He had an 18.5% forced incompletion percentage last season, which is a very good mark. 0 interceptions. The difference between a lot of forced incompletions and actually getting interceptions is the half second that you turn your head around earlier. You know, it's the extra little bit of in control that you feel where you can put yourself between the wide receiver and the ball. You can get your head around, you can get your hands up, and you can get the interception. That's the difference. That's another piece of evidence towards him needing to anticipate things a little bit better. So there's a lot of things that he does well, but I just felt as though a little bit of technique, a little bit of lack of anticipation, and those things are really all that's sort of separating us from a guy who could be talked about sort of as that as a potential first-round corner.
Totally. Yeah, I'm with you. We see these guys eye to eye, honestly.
Seems like it, which I'm kind of excited to. Well, there's, again, one.
The top five is going to be, I'd be very surprised if it's not very different, but we'll see.
You're saying that it's going to be more of the same? Like, we're going to agree?
I don't think our rankings will be as... Like, we had 3 of the 5 at the same exact spots.
There's one player that I don't know if you maybe even watch, because it took me a little bit to watch him. So we'll get to that.
That's what I'm wondering.
We got to talk to the parents out there and ask them what their child's future success looks like for them, right? Because it's an important question, and how you can help them achieve that, whatever that looks like. Maybe it's them owning their own business. Maybe it is them just living in their own house, traveling the world, whatever that looks like. You can help them achieve that with a kids investment account from Fabric by Gerber Life. Fabric by Gerber Life was designed by parents for parents to make it easy to plan for and manage your family's financial path. With a kids investment account, you can start investing in your child's future today. Kids can't invest while they're minors, but this kids investment account allows you to invest on their behalf right now. Gives their investments more time to grow. Starts with $20, no contribution limits to it. Tax advantages, funds are SIPC, insured up to $500,000. Plus, there's no commission fee. It's just a low, flat monthly maintenance fee. It's very easy to set up. Whole thing is online. Then you just manage your child's account right from your phone. Funds can be used for anything, not just when they're older. Sometimes when they're younger, it's sports, it's music, it's tuition, tutors, things like that. And then maybe it is, helping them buy their first house, their first car, helping them travel the world, start the business, whatever that looks like. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their family. Start investing in your child's future today at meetfabric.com/stock exchange. That's meetfabric.com/stock exchange. MEET fabric.com/stock exchange. Portfolios are managed by Fort Washington Investment Advisors Incorporated. Additional services provided by Apex Clearing Corporation. All investing is subject to risk. Learn more at meetfabric.com. All right, who you got at number 5?
DJ McKinney, Colorado.
Okay. I feel like I'm going to be the low man on DJ McKinney going into the season.
Wow, another Colorado hater.
Yeah, yes.
The Army grows stronger by the day.
I feel like I'm going to be a little bit lower on DJ McKinney. I've seen him higher on lists, and I can understand why he is higher, and I will let you go off, King, with him at number 5. But I'm a little bit lower on him. So you tell me and the people why I'm wrong. Go ahead.
McKinney, 6 feet tall, only 181 pounds, which will bring me to a very important concern or weakness for him in a second. But we'll start with the good. Last year, full-time starter in this secondary, 3 picks, broke up 9 passes. The height and speed at outside corner is, box checked. No problem there. I think in zone, he looks calm. He's patient. He's aware. He's an easy mover. Everything with his movement skills matches the test. And then, obviously, considering who he's coached by, this isn't shocking, but it's nice to see after so many guys struggled with this. He has plus awareness when the offense is trying to get a rubber out and clear some space, and he knows how to either work through it or call out a switch with the guy next to him. Mm-hmm. And that was impressive to me at this level because, like I said, I saw a lot of guys get picked on that way. To me, just what matters most with McKinney, I think he's a very sticky cover player with smooth movements to match wide receivers. Here's the problem, and something that has to get better or he will not hold this ranking. He's got to add weight on his frame, and it's not just so I don't see in the Excel sheet that he's 181 pounds. He gets out muscled along the sideline. He does. When receivers are going, I'm one-on-one, and it's me and you along the sideline, there's no safety coming over to help, I'm going to be able to kind of basketball box you out or body you along the way. Mm-hmm. And he gets pushed around by that. And this is one that I think will improve once again because of the coaching there. The timing of his jam is just all over the place right now. He moves so well that it doesn't kill him all the time.
Right.
But there's times where he throws the hand and it was like, it might have been time to open up and run already.
No, you're right.
And now you're in trouble. So I think that's going to be coached up out of him naturally. But if he doesn't get stronger, he won't grow into the prospect that I think he can be. Mm-hmm. That's the big thing for him right now.
Yeah, I think that I think we see him somewhat similarly. I am just more of I've got to see him play with better technique and press because I think he's a press man corner, right? I mean, when you're 6'2", when you have the length that you have, and when you can turn and run, when you can open up the hips and turn and run and be sticky vertically down the field with that kind of length, you're a press man corner. Like I don't want you to be an off zone corner. Like I just think that it's taking away from a lot of the value that you have, especially since if he's not super strong, then you're not always going to be at the catch point if you're an off zone corner. So I want him to be a press man corner. And I thought that there were too many times where I could see that there's the Dion teaching there of, you're right, I think that he is an aware cornerback, but there were too many times when I felt like I was watching him in press where, sometimes this was also an issue for him. Not only was the punch timing and the punch choices getting him in trouble, I think, throughout the season, but also he wasn't mirroring his feet with his hands when he was punching. Like there were times where he'd be flat-footed, like he'd be square with the wide receiver, and it's almost like the feet would just like stay where they are, and the ball would be hiked, and he would just put the arm out, and it's like, no, you gotta kind of shift your feet a little bit. You gotta stay light on your feet because you gotta stay balanced as you're punching something in press. And when he would do that, it's almost like he was lunging. And then that made it way too easy for wide receivers to, swim around it or two-handed swipe around it. And then he's immediately just in recovery mode after that. So the reason why I am lower on him than I think a lot of other people are is because I think he's got to be a press man corner to achieve the potential that we want him to have. And in order for him to do that, like he's just got to be so much stronger is definitely a word, but also just more sound in his technique. And if he takes that leap this year in his technique and he's way more confident out of that press alignment, definitely somebody that will go up my rankings and somebody that I think the NFL is going to be very interested in because that length and speed combination is something that's very alluring. But I need it to be alluring as a press man coverage corner. And I think there are too many things technically that he does not do well enough. And I'll say this too. What was his interception total last year?
3.
It was 3 last year? Because those are the only 3 of his career. I don't know if you watch those specifically. Christmas gifts. Like
this is what happens with a lot of these guys. So you gotta watch them all.
Christmas gifts. I mean, the quarterback is just handing him the football. It's if I remember correctly, I couldn't even necessarily give him right place, right time kind of like credit for it. It was just horrendous throws. And again, I don't say any of that to take anything away from McKinney, but I think if somebody comes to you with this argument and goes, well, you had the 3 interceptions last year, it's like, okay, the context of the interceptions does matter here for a player like that. So anyways, I'm a massive hater. Whatever. That's fine. I still think he'd be a starting quarterback at the NFL level. I still think he has a ways to go before he gets to that point. So we will see this year. That's the purpose of the final draft eligible season here.
So who'd you have at 5?
So the guy I had at 5, I'm wondering if you watched this player. Did you watch Thaddeus Dixon, who played at Washington, and now he is going to play for Belichick at UNC?
Nope.
I really enjoyed Thaddeus Dixon. So he is a redshirt senior, okay? He is somebody who I think I'm just planting my flag on that I think I'm going to be higher on than basically anybody else going into the NFL season. He's listed at 6'1", 185 pounds. He played running back in high school as well as defensive back, and he was a sprinter in high school. Now, he committed to Long Beach City College, which is a JUCO out of college. He played there for 2 seasons. Then he transferred to Washington, played in 14 games in 2023, and then he started 12 games for the first time as a full-time starter in 2024. He's got 1 year of eligibility left, so he transferred over to UNC to play under Belichick for 2025. I think that he has the ideal frame to play as a starting outside cornerback at the NFL level. I think he looks and plays way bigger than his 185.
So I have his updated weight. It's 195.
Okay, that makes
he's 6 feet tall and a quarter. So he's a tiny bit shorter than 6'1".
Okay.
And he's up to 195 right now with 31 and a quarter inch arms.
That makes way more sense for him because I remember watching his film and I'm like, this dude ain't 185.
185 and 195 when you're watching corners at the volume Trevor and I are watching corners, you just start to know it.
Yes.
Like you turn on the tape and you're like, that guy's slender, that guy is filled out. It's crazy how easy it becomes.
And the reason why I know that he was bigger than 185 is because when he triggers downhill and he's, either making contact with the receiver when the ball is arriving or he is going to make a tackle, like in the flat, something like that, he does so very confidently. And when you have corners who are listed at 185, a lot of times, hey, you know what? It's a violent game. And if you're tackling a guy that's 220, who's moving with good velocity, and you're only 180, 185 pounds, guess what? It's going to hurt. And you've got to mentally get over the fact that it's going to hurt when you put your shoulder into this dude. But when you're 195, it's a little bit different of a story. You got an extra 10 pounds of muscle on you, and you're more dense, and you can more confidently go after guys and put the shoulder on them and be a more reliable tackler. That is what he is. He has some excellent reps triggering downhill to make contact with wide receivers or ball carriers that are either coming out of the flat or outside zone rushing plays. So I think that he's got a high potential for run defense there. He is a very competitive player. He always wants to be where the ball is. I remember watching, what was the first game that I watched? It was it the Oregon game or the Indiana game? One of those two. It was one of those two games were the first one that I watched. And I think I'm like 3 plays in. And he's the opposite side corner. And there is a run to the other side of the field. And the second he sees that it's a run to the opposite side of the field, you know how some corners are like, teammates got it. I'm not gonna get there anyways. And you know what? It's probably true. They're not wrong. But Thaddeus Dixon, he put his foot in the ground and he just sprinted straight over. Now, he didn't even get to where the ball was. He got to where the linebackers were. But I went, okay, you give a shit. Like you very clearly care. And that attitude permeated throughout the rest of his tape where when he did have opportunities to get involved, he did, especially as a tackler. Something else that I really, really liked about this player, Connor, he played shadow coverage. They put him against the number 1 wide receiver on the other team and said, cover him. Left
says a lot.
Field corner, boundary corner, left, right, slot, didn't matter. Cover him. And the thing that made that most impressive is, again, I'll go back to those first 2 games that I watched of him. Indiana, he played shadow coverage against Elijah Surratt, who we really like. Or I certainly I like him.
He's a really good player.
He's a hell of a football player. Worst game of the season. 1 reception, 12 yards. Thaddeus Dixon guarded him almost the entire time. Then they play Oregon. Guess who he's guarding? Tez Johnson. Completely different wide receiver. Completely different body types. Completely different skill set. And they said, go shadow coverage Tez Johnson. Now, he had more success against Elijah Surratt because it's a little bit more in his wheelhouse naturally than he did against Tez Johnson. Something that was a nice little, I would say, teaching point against Tez Johnson is Johnson's phenomenal with his wide receiver releases. He'll throw a lot of different stuff at you. He'll give you a split release. He'll give you a diamond release. He'll give you a little hesitation, a little 2-step, and then cutting back to the inside or even the outside. He'll do a lot of different things. He can win off the line of scrimmage very well. And there were a handful of reps where Dixon just was not ready to anticipate exactly what Johnson was going to do. Now, he could keep up with Johnson once he got into his route up the field. If he was in his hip pocket after the release, he normally shut him down completely. But if Johnson was able to win off the line of scrimmage, it was tough for him to recover because Johnson's so quick. So he has to be a little bit better and he needs to continue to study wide receiver releases. But so much of the rest of his game to start in the NFL is there. Competitiveness, overall size and weight, willingness to be a good tackler, somebody who wants to make an impact at all times. He's got the long arms to him. He's competitive at the catch point. He's great triggering downhill. He's good in man coverage, and you can use him on the outside and in the slot as a shadow coverage, man coverage defender. So much of that was very, very impressive to me. I don't think that this guy is being talked about enough, and I hope that Bill Belichick uses him as an ace in their secondary this season.
Man, that's the kind of stuff that really fires you up because just not a lot of college guys that have that put on their plate and thrive in that kind of role, shouldering that kind of, responsibility necessarily. So he's somebody that I will be watching after this because it sounds like he is well deserving of being in your top 5.
All right, we got our. I just realized that we got our different guy out of the way here at number 5. I have to think that we probably have the same 4 names here.
I don't know.
Oh.
We'll see. Oh. I don't know. I'll say this because I was going through this process. I started it before I went on vacation, and I finished it when I came back from the wedding. There are so many damn names at corner in this class.
True.
It's kind of become wide receiver in a way where you could watch 20 guys and you're like, I still didn't even get close. So number 4 for me, I will be shocked if he's. I know you watched him. I'd be a little surprised if he's not in these next 4 for you. Damani Jackson at USC.
Oh, I did watch him, but no, he's not in my top 10.
Okay,
yes,
that's that one. Okay, so that's a pro. We have another different one.
Unreal athlete though.
Yes, and it's funny.
You were betting on the big athletes here. I can't blame you for it. I can't blame you for it.
Yes, I have kind of over the years at corner know exactly what has worked for me.
Yes.
Damani Jackson, what was funny though, we talked about him last year on summer scouting, and I had transferred over those notes into next year's doc, and I did not like him at all when I watched him last summer. And obviously he transferred from USC to Alabama. He is 6 feet tall and 3/8 of an inch.
Okay.
So, not too far away from 6'1", 191, 31-inch arms. He's just a well-built guy.
Oh, you only have him at 191?
191 is what I have.
Interesting. Bama's got him listed at 201.
I mean, these are usually early spring weights, I believe.
Yeah, but
so at Alabama, you'd be surprised how quickly guys could put on 10 pounds of muscle, but it's probably somewhere in the middle of that.
I might just write down 195 for him then.
Yeah. He was we've talked about this before, but it's good to rehash for people that are new to summer scouting. He was a massive recruit coming out of Mater D High School. Massive. I know he had the season-ending knee injury in the opener of his senior year of high school, but he was a huge deal. Goes to USC, his first 2 years are at USC, transfers to Alabama, and he's a starter in his first season at Alabama last year. Grabs 2 picks, breaks up 7 passes. The tape, to me, was a different guy. In 2023, he got picked on a little bit. Like, he played 11 games, and 6 of those games, he directly allowed 40-plus receiving yards in those 6 games. Last year at Alabama, he plays 13 games. He only had 3 games where he allowed 40-plus receiving yards. He was just dialed in on a snap-by-snap basis more, utilizing his size and speed for an outside cornerback. And I thought he showed, and this isn't a surprise, going from USC to Alabama, significant improved play strength as a route disruptor. When you're giving up 40-plus yards, basically, it feels like every other game or more, guys are going after you for a reason. They feel like they can get off the line of scrimmage and that you're timing routes and they can take shots over the top of you. I didn't see a lot of that last year. I saw a guy that learned how to use his size and disrupt routes with his upper body, and that was something that, once again, he significantly struggled with in previous years at USC. He knows how to use those 31-inch arms now to disrupt at the catch point. He's slowing down routes. He's already a fast player, and he's got enough arm length to break up passes. So Damani Jackson is someone, to me, it's been a little bit of a slow burn. This guy coming out of high school was supposed to be a superstar, and I didn't think he lived up to the hype early on, and maybe some of that was, hey, I had a knee injury at the end of high school, and it slowed me down a little bit compared to the hype. I'm believing in the hype from what I saw, the transformation he's made in his first year at Alabama, where I think he's in for a massive second year at Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, just as an athlete, unbelievably impressive, right? Somebody that I think the NFL, this guy's. I'm not saying like he's teetering on the edge of like being draftable or not, but like out of high school, the NFL would have drafted this guy. Like with no college tape because of how he's built. You mentioned he's just shade under 6'1", 190, 195 pounds, whatever it ends up being. He was a 5-star corner.
Well built 195. Like you look at him and you would know he's a football player.
You see the traps on this
dude,
guy?
Phenomenal.
Unbelievable. Like just Tom Hardy and Warrior type of traps.
UFC fighter. Like his headshot is, oh, you play strong safety or outside linebacker.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I play outside corner.
And I think that's the alluring part about him. He was the number 2 corner in that 2022 recruiting class. He was number 5 overall player. But it's not just the size, it's the explosiveness. 10.25 100-meter dash.
He can fly.
That is nuts. That tied the California state record in high school.
It's ridiculous.
It's just crazy. Now he missed his senior season with knee
injury.
That knee injury. So you mentioned some of his background there. The only thing that I do agree with you a lot of, again, similar to McKinney, and I think I'm just harping a little bit more on, as an athlete, he is so very clearly a head and shoulder above most of his competition, which if that's the case in college, you draft those guys anyways because you just kind of have them figured out at the NFL level. But I think when he loses right now, he loses with guys that are more technical. And that becomes an every rep occurrence when we get to the NFL. So when I look at him right now, I have zero doubts about the type of athlete that he is to play at the NFL level. But some of the weaknesses I have in what I watched from last year is he's overly grabby right now, which I think just comes from lack of experience. It just comes from lack of anticipation. But he is. When guys get a little bit more technical on him, when they're, putting some hesitation into their releases or their route breaks, he has a tendency to bite and then he'll get grabby. So then you get a lot of penalties, and obviously that's not good. He has some false steps and sort of misdirection steps out of press, again, a little bit just because it's maybe that lack of anticipation from him. And then for whatever reason, I thought he was a strong tackler when he was committed to tackling, but there were too many times where he was almost like hesitant as a tackler. And I want him to play more with his ears pinned back. I want you to have the green light. I want you to play more free. And it just felt like it felt like he was thinking a lot last year. And I would love to see him play a little bit more free this year, where technique was more second nature. And I think if you get that, you're going to get a really high ceiling football player. But right now I felt like he struggled with technical receivers a little too much for my taste to put him in my top 10, although I certainly see the ceiling that you're talking about there for him.
Yeah, I'm really excited about him this year. I thought he made life very difficult on a more consistent basis last year, which is what I was hoping for him when he transferred initially. So I think, man, it's a position at the NFL level where you got to be big and fast more often than not.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
And I know it's very, very baseline. It's almost too simple, but Damani Jackson is big, fast, and developing now as a cover corner.
And the NFL will always take chances on those players. It guarantees you that type, sort of draftable grade. Now, does it always mean that you're going to be a good corner at the NFL level? No, but it certainly means the NFL is going to take a chance on you. Did you watch Jalen Kilgore from South Carolina?
I did not, and here's why. I will, but what is he?
Yeah, that's the question, right? So,
okay, go ahead. I just want to hear your entire take on him.
It is easier for me to put him in this show because, like I have said to people before, I am breaking down positions in a more detailed manner this year. I have a category specifically for nickel defenders. So I have wide man cornerbacks, I have wide zone cornerbacks, I have nickel defenders, I have box safeties, and I have coverage safeties. So I have those five positions for defensive backs. It's not just corner, free safety, strong safety. I have it broken down into those other details. And to me, Jalen Kilgore is a nickel defender. Like, that is what he has been at South Carolina.
Right.
That is how he is built. He's more of the safety type of
That's
nickel
what I'm
defender.
talking about.
Yes. And so
he's not Chandler Rivers, like the projection at the next level. This is more of a guy that I was like, I'm watching him with the safeties with the way they use him.
And he's not DAngelo Amos, right? And I'm talking about all of these guys as specific nickel defenders, but the positions that you play are the same position. You just might play it differently given your strengths. And so Jalen Kilgore is different than Chandler Rivers. He's different than DAngelo Amos. He's different than those guys. But he is somebody who I watched and I wanted to talk about nickel defenders in this episode. One, because I don't know if we'll get to safeties before we get to the big board. And two, because I think there is more crossover from corner to nickel defender than there is safety to nickel defender, I think, as a whole. But anyways, Jalen Kilgore, true junior, South Carolina. 6'1", 211 pounds. That's what they've got him listed at, which reads more like a safety. He was a 4-star safety recruit when he was coming out of high school. Standout track athlete. 11.62 100-meter dash. He had a 51.71 400 meter, and he also had a long jump of 23 feet 7 inches, in which he won a state championship. Also played basketball when he was in high school, so multi-sport background. Shout out to the people in the comments that always say that I point out the multi-sport background. You damn right I do, and I'm going to continue to do so. The thing about him is, as a nickel defender, as sort of that apex defender, phenomenal downhill athlete. Sometimes you get these nickel defenders who, if they're more of the corner family genus, I don't know what to call it, tree, I don't know what the categorization there is, probably butchering that, but if they come from that corner family tree, there's a good chance that they could play some press for you, because they'll play press on the outside, they could play press there. When you're coming from that safety family tree, a lot of what you do as that apex and nickel defender is you're off coverage a good amount, because you kind of want to almost be this like pseudo linebacker, somebody who can match up against tight ends, somebody who could fly into the backfield, and there's a better chance that you're carrying more weight, so it's tougher to flip the hips and run vertically. So you want to give yourself a little bit of a cushion, so you play a little bit more off. He plays more of that off-coverage role, but man, he can trigger downhill quickly. Like whether it is a run to the B or the A gap, or whether it's a screen to the outside wide receiver, I mean, he is flying down. He's a really good downhill athlete. Plays with a ton of passion, very eager to make plays. I feel like everybody on that South Carolina defense was last year. I think he's got a ton of positional versatility with his size and speed combination. And he has a career missed tackle percentage of just 10%, so almost single digits against the run. Because this is another thing that I have to point out. A lot of times, people will look at outside corners and they will say, you're too small to play outside corner at the NFL level. Let me kick you inside. And that can work. Obviously, we've talked about a couple of players, Chandler Rivers, DAngelo Amos, who we think could be able to do that. You only get to do that if you could defend the run. Because you have to think about it. When you are a slot defender, you are closer to the line of scrimmage. You are closer to the run fits. You have to be able to fit the run. It is why I loved Cooper DeJean and why I had him as a top 10 player in the class 2 years ago. Because I believe that not only could he be an outside cornerback, that if you wanted to move him into the nickel, he would be excellent for you because he can defend the run. That is something that Jalen Kilgore can also do very, very well. Now, there are times when I think he's a little too much of an ankle tackler where he'll just dive at the ankles, but there are times when he's not, where I think that he is not that. But he's playing so fast, he's triggering downhill so fast, sometimes he tries to let speed and momentum be his friend and have that advantage, dive at the ankles, and he'll just try to trip up ball carriers just to get there a little bit sooner. Sometimes I'd wish he'd dial back the speed a little bit, be able to be a little bit more of a reliable tackler, but like I said, sometimes he goes for I wrote down that he had enough ankle tackles to where I wrote it down for him, and yet, what did I just say? 10% missed tackle percentage against the run. That's a really solid number. So he's still letting that technique do things pretty well for him. And I think that he could be an even better nickel defender with a little bit better anticipation, like we've talked about there. And he's just a true junior. So this, to me, is people say apex predator. I've got him as a true, pure apex defender, and that's how I feel about him. I feel like he can sort of troll that second level, and that slot position where he could just be a chess piece for you. That's how I view Jalen Kilgore. I really do feel like he's got that potential first-round versatility to him. And I can understand sort of waiting to watch him with the safeties because I get it, the body type's a little bit more towards the safety. But as that nickel defender, that's where I've got him. And I think he'd be versatile for them, and I think he'd be versatile at the NFL too.
All right, so we have been different at both 5 and 4, and I still think I have one more name that I don't know is going to be in your top 3, and I would imagine, and I think I know a name that's going in your top 3 that did not make my top 10. I think.
All right.
But number three, I could see you having in your top three. AJ Harris from Penn State.
Oh yeah.
Okay, all right.
AJ CB1 for me.
Okay, so this was not the player I'm thinking of.
I gotta say, I gotta apologize to Max Chadwick because earlier when we recorded today, we're recording the show on Monday and we released it for you guys on Thursday to stay on schedule. But we recorded the PFF NFL show today, and he was asking me about the cornerback rankings, and I actually said that somebody else was CB1. And then before we recorded, I was like, you know what? Let me watch a couple more games of both of these guys because it's really close, and I ended up coming away with AJ Harris as my CB1 in this class. So go ahead, intro AJ Harris.
Yeah, I mean, he's your number one corner, so I'll let you talk. And I think he is every bit as good almost as my number one corner. These top three I like a lot more than the rest of the list, I'm going to be honest with you. Like I think it's a big pool that's wide open what guys do this year, but these three, AJ Harris, I mean, he started 15 of 16 games for Penn State last year, true sophomore season. He's a former top 50 recruit. He had some 5-star rankings. He had a lot of 4-star rankings. Fun little note about his background, from a military family. So after he was born in California, when he was a baby, he moved to Germany.
Yeah.
He grew up in Germany until he was 9, came back to the United States. 6'1", 184. He was a freshman at Georgia, by the way, and then transferred to Penn State, which is kind of fascinating. I mean, it just goes to show you, like, I'm sure maybe it was playtime. Whatever it was, ultimately Penn State gets an incredible transfer. Size and athleticism, man. Size and athleticism with AJ Harris. He's tall, and he's a 6'1" guy that moves like a 5'9" guy.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Yep.
That's what it comes down to. And sometimes the explosive athleticism for me stands out when he sees things so well in front of him, and you see that springy click and close, the trigger downhill. It's impressive how shot out of a cannon he could be. When his click and close covers a lot of ground, gets out of the gate in a hurry, and is really explosive that way. And Penn State knows what kind of weapon they had because they use him in a versatile way. Like, you see him playing outside, you see him in the slot, you see him in the box. They have a matchup with tight ends in big games because of his size. They like to get creative with them. Things I want to see grow from him this year, not much ball production last year. The one interception he had, this goes back to something you brought up earlier. He was just standing there, and he could not believe the ball appeared in his hands. It was one of the worst throws of the year, and he was like, okay, great. So the one interception, it counts, but it's really it's a little bit of luck, a lot of bit of luck. He's another one of these guys, I think, that he gets caught in between of disrupting the route with his upper body and opening up with his lower half to run vertical. And that's when guys get a little bit of space against him. But just the raw ability of this player, Trevor, at his age, with his size and his athleticism and what we already saw from him as a true sophomore for a big Penn State season, I was wildly impressed with him.
I think that he's got the mold of a first-round corner. I really do. He's got
like a number one corner on an NFL team is what he looks
100%.
Like. That's the ability-wise.
100%. Yeah. I mean, whether it was in press man assignments, off-man assignments, off-zone assignments, like whatever it was, I felt like he had the athletic ability and the instincts to be able to play all those types of coverages very, very well. His missed tackle percentage is okay, but he's got some of the best solo run stops of any of the cornerbacks, especially the outside cornerbacks that I watched. I mean, he will trigger downhill very quickly. And, I was talking about with Jalen Kilgore, like Kilgore will fly downhill and sometimes he's just diving at ankles a little bit too much. AJ Harris will fly downhill and he will put his shoulder into your hip. Like he will tackle you. And that's right. What I love that mentality from him there. I also wrote down the ball production. Would love to see a little bit more of that. Just 11% forced incompletion percentage over the last 2 seasons. So you'd love to see that get up a little bit better. And again, that comes with better anticipation. But long speed to cover vertically. The foot quickness and the body control to be able to stop on a dime and cover any route that's, an in-breaking route or a comeback or something like that. I just think that he is built like a starting outside cornerback at the NFL level. And honestly, I actually didn't do this. I could have done this with Ultimate, but the one game that was really bad from him was that SMU game. And I don't know if you remember this, Connor, that SMU, that SMU game was his lowest run defense grade. He had a 28.5 run defense grade.
Yep.
And he had a 52.6 overall grade, and it was one of his lower coverage grades of the season. It was 20 degrees that day. And you could from after watching 2 games before that and then watching the SMU game, you could tell he was cold.
Dolphin.
He was
Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
I mean, the Dolphins need a CB1 so badly. So AJ Harris is actually on the table for them. That is not a joke. But I just remember watching the SMU game and he just looks like he's miserable. He looks like it's so cold. He's like, I don't want to be doing this. I got to be doing this, but I don't want to be doing this. And so I thought that was funny there. But there's just so much that he brings to the table that you absolutely love. So
yeah, he's the raw talent transpiring to success on the field last year. And
okay, I got it really quick. So if you include the SMU game, his overall grade is a 78.9 and his run defense grade is a 69.9. But if you take out that SMU game, his run defense grade goes all the way up to an 80.2. That's probably the best run defense grade of any outside corner that we watched.
The only problem is the NFL plays in December and January.
Look,
and if you're really good, you might play a game in February,
I'm not saying
even though it's indoors.
Can't play in cold weather because at Penn State, it gets cold in Penn State. But I just remember that game was bitter cold, extremely windy. That would suck.
It doesn't
for
represent
anybody
the majority
to play in.
Yes.
Yeah, but I did think that was funny. If you take that game out, what a fantastic run defender he also is, with a lot of really impressive solo run stops. So he's 3 for you. He's 1 for me. So who you got at 2 now?
I don't think you have this player in your top 10.
I really don't. If it's somebody I didn't watch.
No, I think you watched him. I don't think he's in your top 10. Xavier Scott, Illinois.
Xavier Scott was the player that I was talking to you about, who was the 29th player that I watched, who I then put just outside of my top 10.
Okay, so you do like him.
Dude rules. He absolutely rules. I got a little bit of athletic question with him, but
there's a lot of questions, and this is me having him as CB2 is my biggest risk of this risk. Stupid word to say. He's my boldest take of the summer.
He's your R. Mason Thomas.
I have found my R. Mason Thomas.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think he's... And I have team grades on him already. And nobody has him in the first 2 days of the draft right now.
I feel like if he declared last year, I think he'd get 3rd round consideration if he would have declared last year.
I don't.
You don't think?
But maybe.
No. Maybe I just want to believe. Maybe I just want to believe.
Yeah, and I do believe. He's 5'11", 198. He's got 31-inch arms, which good arm length at that size. Xavier Scott, man, this is...
Wait, you got him at 198?
Yes.
Let's go. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay,
yes.
keep going. Sorry. I had him at 190 because that's where they have him listed at, but I love the fact that he's a little bigger.
He's just an incredible playmaker, man. Incredible playmaker in this defense. When they lost Devin Witherspoon, they looked at Xavier Scott and said, we are going to ask you to just wreak havoc on the back end of this defense for us. You look at the last 2 seasons, he's got 6 interceptions, 17 passes broken up, a pick 6, and 2 forced fumbles. So excellent ball production over the last 2 years. Last year, they played him 443 snaps in the slot, 255 at outside corner, 46 in the box, and 24 at free safety. His quick trigger downhill with the pre and post snap awareness and his ability to diagnose and dissect, he is a demon jumping underneath throws, reading quarterback's eyes. An absolute demon. His anticipation on short and intermediate routes, allowing him to break on the ball, is the best in this class, in my opinion. It's the best in this class. And when the DNA notification for me, the alarming thing that said everything about this guy. When teams throw screens on his way, he is a maniac trying to mess up screens. If he understands, I can't get around these blocks. It's drawn up where they're taking me out of the play, and I can't be a hero right here. He takes them on with a full head of steam, like an absolute psycho, that the player behind him has the free lane to the ball carrier. If it's two guys, I'll take them both on. If it's one guy, I'm going to charge as hard as I can, that the ball carrier has to go where my help defender is. He's just such a smart, high energy, nose to the ball, 120% every play kind of guy. My biggest concern with him is that injuries have just been a part of his career so far. He tore his meniscus and partially torn his ACL in the 2023 season finale. And then he had an ankle injury that bothered him in 2024. And that ankle injury has carried over to his spring a little bit so far in 2025. And I think it's partially the way he plays. He's not a big guy. He's not small, but he's not this 6'2", 210-pound corner with 33-inch arms. He plays like a safety, honestly, that plays corner, but he's built like a standard corner. He's been banged up, and I hope that his play style, he can stay healthy with his play style. But if you want somebody to fuck up the game, quite frankly, this is a guy that at any moment can absolutely ruin the game for the opposition.
I don't know if I've ever seen a college defensive back be the reason why a team wins a game like he was in that Kansas game.
I mean, single-handedly won the game.
He single-handedly won that Kansas game. He had a pick six, which went into the scoreboard. I think they won by 6, didn't they? So he had
I believe so.
Yeah, so he had a pick six in that game. I believe he had another interception in that game.
They did win by 6.
It is funny. You mentioned how sometimes they will design plays to run away from him. There was a specific play that Kansas had on the goal line. I think it was on first down. It was 1st and 6, where they have Scott lined up as an outside cornerback to the strength side of the formation. The wide receiver who he is guarding runs just like a very quick like slant route and sort of like acting. He's running a slant route to try to mainly to try to fool Xavier Scott to get him to run away from the pylon, move more towards the inside of the field, because the run is then going to go to the outside as a race to the pylon. So the outside wide receiver cuts inside really quick. Scott follows him, but then very quickly picks up on the fact that they're doing this to fool me. When he realizes that the running back already has the ball and is running out towards the pylon, he puts his foot in the ground, immediately sprints straight to the running back and makes the tackle. And he was the only one who would have been able to make the tackle, or else it's a touchdown. So I've watched very, very few college games, if any, that are dominated that much by a defensive back, the way that Xavier Scott was able to do this. It is funny that you bring him up, because he was absolutely somebody that I was going to bring up at the end of the show, because I have him just outside of my top 10. The biggest issue that I have with him is I don't think his stride length is very long, and because of that, I think he has really limited recovery speed. His legs are moving a million miles an hour.
Yeah.
Him giving the effort to run as fast as he possibly can, that will never be in question. But there were too many times when I watched him, and if he gave up separation, he didn't really get that ground back. And like I mentioned, it's harder to do that in the NFL than it is even in college at that level. So if I have those questions with you in college, I get really nervous in the NFL. But as a nickel defender and somebody that can roam the field and just, you say, that's the football, go hunt it. He is just one hell of a football player. It's so funny that you bring him up and that you brought up Devon Witherspoon's name, because I messaged the college football guys, Dalton and Max, right after I watched Xavier Scott. And I was like, if this guy was faster, he'd be Devon Witherspoon reincarnated.
Right.
if he was faster, if I didn't have to worry about his speed, he's basically all of the reasons why you love Devon Witherspoon. He just has some speed concerns. And so you having him at number 2, obviously it's higher than where I have him, but I want you to know that I am right there with you, standing on the front line, hoping that this dude is healthy because he is just one hell of a football player.
It is funny going back to Witherspoon, just some of like the parallels. He's another Florida kid that had a big basketball background. Like that first kind of love. This is an all-county first-team basketball player from Florida that goes out to Illinois and is just this high-energy demon at corner. Maybe it's one of those things where his film is some of the most excited I've been this summer. And I'm not going to say I got carried away because I will stand by the ranking. But I cannot wait to watch this guy play. And like we obviously have Big Ten and NBC. I'm going to have a role in some of the coverage of that this year, which I'm very excited to take on. And when Illinois is on our schedule, man, it's between him and Akis. But Gabe Akis. This group's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. Shout out to Connor Rogers for invading our televisions on Saturday for some of this college football action. I can't wait, brother. I'm excited for you to not only have this opportunity to do some stuff on network TV for college football, but also get a little bit of draft talk in there, maybe a little bit earlier than what they normally do,
Anytime they let me, it will be done.
Okay, so who do you not have in your top 10? Is it Avion Terrell from Clemson?
It's Avion Terrell.
Okay, all right. So, did you hate him? Or is he just outside of the top 10?
I had him at 12.
Okay, I had Xavier Scott at 12. This is funny.
That is really, really weird. When I watched Avion Terrell, it wasn't even like I was watching the film and I was like, this guy just doesn't... He was one of the first players I watched, and I just kept putting players over him as I kept going.
Interesting.
Where I looked back, and I was like, man, I didn't even dislike him that much.
Yeah.
I'll just say my number one concern before I throw to you.
Sure.
I just think he's a slender guy.
Sure.
100%. That gets bodied on the outside all the time.
100%.
And if he can't transition to the inside or just get bigger and stronger, which I'm not overly confident in the latter part, it's tough for me to be that high on a corner.
And I can totally understand that.
He does a lot of really good things fundamentally the right way.
Yeah.
And it plays so hard against the run. That's not the size problem.
Yes.
It's not the size problem.
Right.
It's in coverage.
Yeah, and he reminds me a little bit of Asante Samuel Jr. in that regard, where you watch him play, and it's just like, man, he's small. Now he's gotten his chance in the NFL. I actually don't think he's signed anywhere right now. I think he's a free agent. But anyways, Avion Terrell, he's a junior this year. He's at Clemson. He's listed it. Wait, do you have official measurements for him?
Let me see what I had for him. I don't remember.
I have him at 5'11", 180, which is small.
I think that's what I had him as too. So those aren't like spring verified measurements.
Gotcha. He is the brother of AJ Terrell, as you would expect.
5'11", 180 was the official that I had. So
okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I think that's actually accurate.
Sounds
a school actually accurate for once.
Imagine. He played wide receiver and he played cornerback in high school. He was also a track sprinter. He won the state title in the 4x400 relay. It was third place in the 4x100, and he had a personal best of a 10.97 100-meter dash. He started 5 games as a true freshman in 2023. Started all 14 games last season. You mentioned 5'11", 180, small for a cornerback. That is 42nd percentile and 8th percentile. Now, he plays smaller. I think that you see that. It shows up anytime he's asked to play press. It shows up when the ball is coming in and we're getting the catch point. It shows when he's hand fighting throughout the routes. Like, he is a smaller cornerback. There is no doubt about that. But I think the arm length also could definitely be an issue for him in the pros. Did AJ Terrell have long arms?
No, he didn't. It's one of those weird things I remember off the top of my head. I was so surprised because he's not small. AJ's bigger than his brother.
He is. What was his
He
arm
had
length?
31 and a quarter, but he's over 6'1".
He's over 6'1". Yeah.
So I don't know. It's not that he has short arms, But I was just surprised when I watch AJ Terrell play. I'm like, he's got 32.5-inch arms.
Yeah.
And he doesn't.
So
yeah.
Avion's got even shorter arms. Obviously, he's smaller. He's not as big as his brother is. So he's got
It's
even
like
shorter
2 to
arms
3
to
inches smaller.
Right.
Yeah.
I would agree. That's about it. Okay, like that is about it for the negatives. The rest of the stuff,
yeah, I
phenomenal.
agree. He does so many things well.
He does so many things well, man. Super fluid movements, great body control. So a smaller guy, but he's got great body control, great quickness, good first step. I think he's got adequate long speed. You know, it's not elite long speed, but I think it's adequate long speed, especially so he's an off-zone coverage defender. That's what he is. You won't see him in press a ton because why would you? Why would you want him to expose his weakness of having shorter arms and just being smaller of a corner? Strength and length. Those are the two things that you want to play press man. So you're not going to put this guy in press. There's no reason to do it. And in fact, he is so good when you put him in off-zone coverage alignments. So as an off-zone coverage guy, he's got a little bit of a cushion. He's got a little bit of a runway that when wide receivers are getting vertical on him, he can normally turn and run with them pretty well. So he's got that adequate long speed to him there. Really good ball production in 2024. 2 interceptions, but more importantly, 20% forced incompletion percentage. So even with the smaller arms, he is a gnat, and he is getting up there at the catch point. He is timing things very well. He's being as physical with the receivers as he can. He's got great instincts for when the ball is arriving, when to get his hands up, and what to do with it. Elite run defense grade, 90.7 run defense grade last season, and just a 12% missed tackle rate at 180 pounds. That is very, very impressive and just shows the great instincts that he has, the type of football player he is. When he can play off-zone coverage and keep his eyes on the quarterback, the way that he can manipulate space, the way that he can manage space, how he matches up against receivers, how much cushion to give them, when to turn and run, when to trigger downhill, fighting through blocks, becoming a good run defender, all of that, man. He is a smaller corner. And if you don't like smaller corners or your scheme's not built for it, probably won't be your cup of tea. But for me, so much of what he does is NFL caliber, especially the way that he approaches the game. I think that when you put him in those off-zone coverage alignments, man, he is going to make you a happy coach with how well he is able to play the ball. So I am a big fan of Avion Terrell because even with him being a little bit smaller and not as strong as you want, I think it limits him to his press coverage reps, but that's okay for how good he is in off-zone. And I think that, okay, it should limit him in run defense, but it doesn't, especially last year. And if you give me another year where you're anywhere near 80 as a run defender, you put 2 years back-to-back like that, I'm not going to be worried about it. So I just think that this is a really good football player, somebody who understands the game of football very, very well. So he is my CB3. Yeah, I had him at CB3. Yeah.
So then my number one is your number two, and then obviously I have A.J. Harris at 3, who you had number 1. My number 1 is Jermod McCoy from Tennessee.
Yep.
Who I think if you're going to see a consensus, whatever that means anymore, there's just so many different draft rankings, whether it's from analysts,
your dog,
organizations,
AI,
yes,
ChatGPT.
Oh God, that's AI in the draft industry is, I don't want to say a fear of mine, but it will annoy me when we're getting like, AI projects this guy as the 4th best prospect in the class, but the analysts are saying he's 28th. And it's like, what does that even mean? Anyways.
What does that even mean?
What does it even mean? Jermod McCoy.
Yep.
You want me to start us off here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I got to start off with the crappiest part, which stinks. He was training at home in January of this year and tore his ACL.
Not great.
So the number one or a guy viewed as a contender for the number 1 corner in this class is not going to be ready to start the season, we're all assuming. That's safe to say. He will return late in 2025 due to an offseason torn ACL. He was a transfer to Tennessee from Oregon State, 6 feet tall, 193 pounds. Grabbed 4 picks and broke up 9 passes last year. Actually, Trevor, former All-State baseball player.
Love that.
Was a very good baseball player.
Don't get a lot of that around these parts.
You don't get a ton of it, especially, I think, at corner.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
We get a lot of, I feel like, receivers and running backs and quarterbacks that played
quarterbacks
baseball.
For sure, baseball background.
Of course.
Tight ends, you can sometimes get some baseball background.
Yeah.
Linebackers, you can sometimes get some baseball. Safeties, sometimes you get a little baseball background in there. But you're right, corner, you just don't get a lot of them.
Tight end is funny you mentioned that one because I feel like it's by default. It's like, oh, cool, you're 6'6", 250 now. Yeah, you're gonna play football all year round instead of playing baseball anymore. Right. So unless you're a pitcher. So he was only a 3-star recruit, Jermod McCoy. So not that only a 3-star to say anything like that, but he's to what he's become after transferring. This is someone to me that he is just confident and patient in man coverage, and it allows him to stay on top of routes. Short and intermediate routes, he is a very difficult player to get away from. He wants to play a physical brand of football before and after the catch. He wants to disrupt you at the line of scrimmage, through your route, at the catch point, and if you do catch a pass on him, he's going to hit you, and he's going to try to make you feel the pain. I think his instincts, Trevor, translate to ball skills. You see him understand what the route is trying to do. Okay, I got to click and close. Let me jump on the throw in front of me. And he's excellent. I mean, excellent on slant routes and in-breaking routes, chopping the arm down. It's a violent chop. It's like a borderline martial arts chop to take away either the receiver's hands and arms or the football in the air. I think my favorite thing about him is he has such a good understanding of how to use the sideline to his advantage to limit space. He just knows exactly how to position himself and say, I'm gonna let you kind of, float that way because you're gonna run yourself out of the play because I'm so strong and physical that you don't have enough space to finish the play.
He did that with Ryan Williams.
That was mind blowing,
bro. He had Ryan Williams in the walls of Jericho in that first half.
In absolute hell. No rope break in sight.
Absolutely not. Ryan Williams got the better of him in the second half a little on a handful of plays.
As a Ryan Williams will at age 13, Ryan Williams? 14?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Youngest player to ever play college football. Somehow he's getting younger. I don't know how it happens. But like to everything that you're saying, if you're hanging with Ryan Williams is going to be no doubt about it, first-round wide receiver. And he
probably top 10 pick.
He is every bit of a talented NFL player as Ryan Williams is. So I think Jermod McCoy is probably going to be a first-round corner.
Yeah, McCoy's excellent. I think the things people will kind of circle with him is I think his long speed is average instead of good to great. And I don't think it's a big, thing that hinders him. I just think it's average long speed. And I think when he allows a step over the top of him because of the average long speed, he falls into the habit of playing the man and waiting for the hands to come up to play the hands rather than trying to turn around and make a play on the ball. But the counter to that is he's so physical, he's so hard to kind of get into that position that it's not consistently in those scenarios where he has to play like that. So I think this is a really, really good player. I'm rooting for his health and for him to come back and finish the season strong and be a first-round corner.
I didn't even have as much speed concerns as you did. He's got a former track long jump background, so he's got explosiveness to him. I think his first step is really impressive. And he had, according to PFF's tracking, he did have 3 plays where he was clocked at over 20 miles an hour. So
that's really interesting.
So he can get up there, and it just, man, so easy watching this guy. I mean, I remember, I think I turned on the Alabama tape is the first one I watched because I was like, okay, let's see what he did against Ryan Williams. And not only is he matched up against Ryan Williams, I'm like 4 plays in, and I go, all right, well, top 50 is a lock. Let's just see how much higher
what can we do from here?
Right, because it's just the size, you could see the arm length, the height, the overall weight, like it's there for him. You mentioned the strength that he has, the aiming points of where he's putting his hand and how he's using that to sort of not only like angle where the receiver is going, but obviously angle where his body is going, and how that so smoothly goes into how he is then staying in phase and hip to hip with these guys and watching the wide receiver's eyes, knowing when the ball is going to get there, using the sideline to his advantage, all this stuff, man. If you run a press man coverage type of defense and you play a lot of man coverage, this guy has got the mold that you want. I don't want to say it's as good as it gets because there are things that I think he could do a little bit better. I'd love to see him anticipate some of those in-breaking routes a little bit better this upcoming season. And there are times where, I don't know if you noticed this, but in the couple of games that I watched of him, when he loads up for those big hits, like he'll dip the head and the eyes and he will just lunge with the shoulder. And there are a lot of times where, yeah, I mean, if he makes contact, it's pretty impactful and the ball carrier goes down. But there are other times where, I mean, he can get sidestepped. He can get one cut when that stuff is happening. So he's got to keep his heads up. He's got to keep his head up. We don't need the big bruising hits. I mean, you're for as much as I love wanting to make the big hits. I mean, you're an outside corner, man. It's just not going to be your bread and butter. So I'd rather you be a little bit more sound and take some speed and aggressiveness off of it. But excellent player. 4 interceptions, above a 19% force incompletion percentage last year, I believe. He is just. I just really hope that he gets back to pre-injury form. That's really what we're looking to see for Jamon McCoy. And if he does, I think he's a first rounder.
Yeah, really, really talented player that he plays with the tenacity that you dream of at the position, but he just has so many high IQ understandings that get you really excited. So that injury's a bummer, but I think everybody's really excited about his NFL future.
All right, really quick, give us your 10-1 one more time, and then shout out a couple of players that just weren't in your top 10 that maybe we didn't talk about.
Yep, so 10, the infamous now Keith Abney of Arizona State, former roller skater. Number 9, Chandler Rivers. The artist formerly known as National Champion Speed Skater.
Roller skater.
9, Chandler Rivers out of Duke. Number 8, Christian Gray, Notre Dame. Number 7, Dalen Everett, Georgia. 6, Malik Muhammad from Texas. 5, DJ McKinney, Colorado. 4, Damani Jackson, now Alabama, originally from USC. 3, A.J. Harris, Penn State. 2, Xavier Scott, stamp placed, Illinois. Number 1, Jermod McCoy, Tennessee.
Who you want to shout out outside of that group?
Yeah, a couple guys that are really, obviously Terrell I watched, I liked. I just, kind of stinks in a spot for him. I rewatched Metzor Delane, who's now at LSU. Remember, we had a long combo with him, Virginia Tech. I think he had a down season by his standards. I hope he can bounce back for LSU. Josh Moten from Marshall, now at Southern Miss, is just really small, but
yeah,
he's the riverboat gambler of the class.
Kind of is.
You brought up Asante Samuel Jr. before. Josh Moten must have watched Asante Samuel growing up and going, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Because he'll give up plenty of touchdowns, and he'll also take away the ball plenty of times as well.
Yep.
Bit of a wild man. Will Lee from Texas A&M, Will Lee the third. Did you watch him?
I did, a.k.a. the blanket. Incredible.
The blanket. I love it so much. Will Lee was 11 for me.
Oh,
so he
okay.
was the just miss guy, size, speed for the blanket. And I know we get asked about him all the time. I did watch Davison Igbinosun from Ohio State.
Yep.
I'm just not as high on him, I think, as a lot of other people clearly are.
Same.
But I did watch him for the people.
He's just too grabby right now. He's too
all
grabby.
The time.
He just
all
the time. You've got to win cleanly, more consistently at corner for me to take you seriously for the NFL level. It's funny that you have Will Lee at 11. You know who my early working comp is for Will Lee, actually? Your boy TJ Tampa. So it makes makes a lot of sense that you would, after liking Tampa,
of course,
that you would be in
here I am
on Will.
It's time to get back to the old me. It is time to get back to the old me.
So my 10 through 1. Had Teario Davis, who's now at Washington at number 10. Chandler Rivers from Duke at number 9. DAngelo Amos, who is at Indiana at number 8. Dalen Everett from Georgia at 7. Malik Muhammad at number 6. Thaddeus Dixon, who was at Washington, now he's at UNC at number 5. Jalen Kilgore from South Carolina at 4. Avion Terrell from Clemson at 3. Jermod McCoy from Tennessee at 2. And then A.J. Harris from Penn State at number 1. I'm glad that you shouted out Xavier Scott, who was my 12th guy. And the guy right in front of him, Smith Snowden, a similar nickel defender from Utah who... Man, he's feisty. I mean, again, just him and Xavier Scott, I almost like it was a coin flip. Like, who was going to be 11, who was going to be a 12. They are very much the same sort of player. Just those fiery guys who can play and press man for you. Now, Xavier Scott, I felt like played a little bit more off than Snowden did, but Snowden will play press against you in the slot. So, man, he was a lot of fun to watch. Very intrigued about Jermaine Matthews Jr. from Ohio State. Started as an outside corner for them last season. Not a full-time outside starter, I believe, but he got some starts for them last season. He has He has the overall look of an NFL corner. The thing is that he just wasn't challenged a lot. Didn't really have a lot of ball production. Didn't have a lot of forcing completions. Didn't have any interceptions. So I just want to see him get challenged a little bit more this upcoming season. But I think a reason why is because he's a good coverage player. He just, every time a quarterback looks their way, he's close enough in coverage to warrant some no throws there. So interested to see how he plays out. Cam Calhoun, I think, is going to be very interesting. He is at Alabama this year. I know he transferred a couple of times. Where is he now?
Where are you, Cam?
He
yells into the void.
He is at Alabama this year. He was at Michigan to start, then he transferred to Utah, and now he is at Alabama. So I think that he is very interesting. He is somebody who's got a good size-speed combination to him as well. So I felt like I'd shout him out. Alden Schuler is the nickel cornerback for Notre Dame, who I think he's got to get better in coverage, but man, you want to talk about guys who just live to defend the run. Reminding me a lot of what Tyke Smith was for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a slot defender, where they just loved how reliable he was in run defense. Now, again, he's got to get better as a coverage defender, which I think he can. I think he's got the athleticism for. He's just so aggressive in how he plays the game. Sometimes that led to yielding a little too much separation. So those are a handful of guys. I watched a lot more. Like I said, I watched 29, so I would love to hear from you guys. If there was somebody that we didn't talk about here in this group, fire it off in the comment section. If you guys have your own rankings, we'd love to hear from you, of course. Fire that off in the comment section as well. Best way to do that, youtube.com/@NFL Stock Exchange. That really gets the conversation going. You get some interaction with us here on the show as well as the fellow addicts. Like I mentioned, this is the last podcast episode that we're going to have for the next 3 weeks. We're off the next 2 weeks. I know, diabolical of us. I'm sorry. I'm going on my honeymoon, so I'm going to have an extended break where I am very far away from my computer.
I'll be fighting big tucks, me and my lawyers.
And Connor is going straight to the courtroom to represent himself to take on Big Tuxedo. Yes. So that's going to take up the next 3 weeks for us, but we will be back. I can't remember if we're trying to squeeze in one more position group or if we go straight to the overall big board on the 14th. I think we're doing one position.
I think we have time. Yeah,
I think we'll do one more position. Yeah. Hey, let us know in the comments.
So let us know.
We've got tight end. We've got interior defensive line. We've got linebackers and safeties. I believe are the four that we have not done yet. I think interior offensive line we did. We didn't do that with offensive tackle, but I'm going to say...
No, but we watched so many tackles that might be guards. I feel like we covered good bases.
I agree. Yeah. So, okay, tight end, interior defensive line, linebackers, or safeties. Vote or die in the comments. Yes. I want the position group that gets the most comments or the most likes on some of those comments is where we will go for the next episode. And then I think after that, it will be the big board episode. And then we're getting into everybody's favorite episode. Yeah. The very first mock draft that we will do right before the season.
Feel it in the air.
Folks, it's right around the corner. You absolutely love it. We love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That's Connor Rogers. Thanks for watching the NFL Stock Exchange. See you guys next time.